Hello, everybody, and welcome to our Voices for All podcasts. I'm Marcos, I'm the CEO of Quilombo UK. We are a social marketing agency working in Kingston. Via the resilience funding from Kingston Council, we are addressing the community in debt in Kingston. The objective of the podcast is for us to bring to you, residents of Kingston, everything that's available if you are experiencing debt. All the organizations in Kingston, they are supporting everybody in debt, bringing peace of mind, bringing hope, and much bigger than everything else, making sure that everybody feels that you're not by yourself, that the council is doing quite a lot to try and support all of the residents in Kingston. I have the pleasure to have with me here Shane from Staywell. Hello, Shane.
Hi, Marcus.
Thank you very much for coming.
Oh, it's nice to be here.
Really good to have you. We were having a quick chat about what Staywell and the great work you're doing. So would be great to hear a little bit more about.
Okay.
I will at the same time bring the website up here. So you work with vulnerable elderly in Kingston.
Yeah, we work. Staywell is history goes back a long time, but we principally work with all older people within the borough, and particularly elderly, frailer folk is the main people who we directly help and support. We're also working with families, and we're also working with carers as well of older people. So we work around that, and we cover a whole myriad of areas in terms of supporting people to live independently at home. So we're a kind of preventative organisation, helping people to stay independent and basically looking after them, helping them and supporting them in terms of their needs and issues as and when they're kind of...
How many clients in Kingston that you currently have?
How many
clients or
clients? Last year we worked with 3,000 unique individuals.
3,000?
3,000 unique individuals as our system dictates to us. We do that because we've got we use Salesforce as a platform, so we've got really good data, which we've evolved since just before COVID, which is really important when you're working with frail or older people, because often you're working with people who have memory issues. So it's quite good to have records of what they've had in the past, how we've helped and supported them in the past, and what contacts we might have with their family, carers or relatives.
Yeah.
So, and out of that 3,000, we on a regular basis we're working with 650, 700 people.
Yeah.
And the rest of the time it's kind of like one touch. People come to our information device service asking for guidance or help or support or information about this, that and the other.
Yeah.
A big part of that, we run about 10 different services.
Yeah.
I can go through them quite quickly if you want.
Yeah, please.
We've got 2 building-based services, which is basically day centre facilities. So we've got Rally House in New Malden. We've got the Bradbury, which is in Knights Park in Kingston.
Yeah.
We run a handy person service. We run a really, really good befriending service.
A handyman service.
Handyman, yeah. This is about people who come round and fix things.
Nice.
Put up handrails, can do key safes, can put up shelves, all kind of low-level kind of jobs, but quite important, hang curtains and stuff like that.
So let's just make it very clear for all of you watching, we are going to have the phone number for Staywell in Kingston, as well as their website, and a QR code as well if you want to scan it and go directly into the website, as Shane is saying. So one building is in New Malden.
Yeah.
Where in New Malden?
It's in Nelson Road, which is just not far off, really. It's not far off where you would say the Fountain Roundabout is, which...
The Fountain Roundabout.
Yeah, people know where that is as a local area.
Nelson Road.
Nelson Road, 14
and
Nelson
the building
Road.
Is open?
Building's up, we're there every day. It's in a residential road.
Office hours?
Sorry?
Office hours?
Office hours, yeah, generally office hours.
Yeah.
We're there from about 8:30 to about 5, Monday to Friday, regular time. But that's our kind of headquarters. So most of the way we help and support people is in the community. So our community, we've got various community services that go out and support people in their own homes.
And the other building's in Knights Park?
The other building is in Knights Park. That's the Bradbury. That's right opposite the University Arts Faculty.
So you've got Fairfield.
Yeah.
And down the road.
You'd go up towards the university, towards Biddlesford School, and it's just on your left.
It's okay. And anybody in Kingston can go to either buildings to get support.
Yeah, you can find. Well, we're really about older people, so that's our stock in trade, is that we help and support older people. We do other things. So, for instance, in primary care, we deliver a social prescribing service. That works with GPs. That does all adults. So we're talking about 18 plus. But really, how you access that service is generally on the whole via your GP.
And just so people understand, what's actually the social prescribing service?
Social prescribing is a service that's been around for a couple of years now. It basically, one of the things GPs realise, what they recognise within primary care, is that a lot of people were coming to them with non-health issues. And GPs couldn't, they can't prescribe a medicine or a tablet or whatever. So what they can do, they could prescribe somebody who could practically help that person. Mm-hmm. So it's about people helping them find things. It might be helping somebody access a bereavement service. It might be helping somebody access a handy person service, or it might be somebody helping people just get their lives back together again after some kind of episode. And it's really where there isn't really a clinical or a medical solution to this person's problems, but on the whole, they keep coming back into primary care. They keep talking to the doctor, because often people go to the doctors over a whole range of things. So they might need counselling. They might have mental health issues. They might need to get physically active and go for walks, join clubs, take up tennis, do something.
Yeah.
So social prescribing as a whole raft refers people to a whole raft of things that are already available in the borough.
Amazing.
So it works quite closely with an awful lot of local voluntary organisations and makes lots of referrals to a lot of the services that they have.
So then, if anybody were going to a GP because they didn't know where to get help with this, can they go straight to Staywell?
They can do, yeah. I mean, the thing to access social prescribing, you really need to get that via your GP, because GPs in Kingston are organising clusters. There's about 4 or 5 clusters known as primary care networks. Yeah. So where you live, that's where you need to go to find out. And if you want to ask to speak to a social prescriber, you can just get referred to them via reception. Now, if you ring up Staywell, we'll point you in that direction as well.
Okay, so they need to go to GP first.
Well, generally, the referrals, GPs like to have a monopoly on the referrals to social prescribers, because they're very busy.
Support. Okay.
Yeah. GPs are the gatekeepers for a lot of things in terms of accessing. It's just the way things are designed. And the way the funding works. So we need to evidence and show what we're doing with people. And often GPs will make referrals to social prescribers when there's not a lot a GP can do for you. Yeah. Because your issues you have are more social rather than clinical or medical. So that's where social prescribing comes in, because often it can help people get back to where they were in their life, to help and support them, to go through a whole myriad of things. So it can be anything around homelessness, addiction issues, mental health, all kinds of things. Within that, they do also work with older people, but you do get a spectrum of all 18 plus year old folk.
Top. And so you said handyman, social prescribing, you said 10.
Yeah, keep going. We have a community team.
Community team.
A community team, which again, that's really does focus on frail elderly people on the whole. And so for instance, social prescribers will refer to them. Yeah. And that's a kind of 2 to 4 to 6 week support service where they'll help people get back to where they were, help them navigate the myriad of things that they need. Again, often people end up coming to the community service because things have happened. And it can be as such as that their partner's died, the husband's died, the wife's died, and things are growing to a halt, and they need some hand holding and sorting out. So it's a lot of key working, one-to-one key working. And that can go on for quite some time. So that's a really important service. We have, I talked about the handy person service. We have a help at home service.
Help at home?
Yeah, which is a kind of paid for service. Yeah. Where we have a team of nearly 25 help at homers. Yeah. They go out and they will go into people's homes on a regular basis. They will help them, support them with this. They'll support with meals. Sometimes it's social visits. Sometimes it's a bit of cleaning. Sometimes it's meal preparation. but it's building support again around.
Wow, so they help with meal preparation as well.
Yeah.
When you say it's a social, it's just literally coming to say hi, have a little chat.
You can do, because it's what we developed this service because people were bringing us up and they were accessing the things that we had, and they liked the help that we gave them.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was an ask that can you keep supporting me in doing this? And I'm quite happy to pay you to do that. So Help at Home, it's over 10 years old now, that service. But that's how that evolved. So that service alone does, we're talking about 200 home visits a week.
Wow.
So
a week?
Across the borough, yeah. So they support about 100, roughly 120 to 135 people out every week. That they support.
I just want to make, why are we talking about everything? I would like to just make it very clear to everybody watching that Staywell, you were sharing with me that you have quite a few clients that are not actually the clients, the elderly that get in touch, or a relative. There. So if you're watching and you know somebody that you have some concerns over the age of 65?
It's over the age of 65, but I would argue 65 is quite young.
Okay. And you can yourself contact Staywell and share with them your concerns. And Staywell, as Shane is explaining here, will assess and we so far only 4, there's 6 to go to hear more of what Staywell can do. So handyman, social prescribing, the community team, the help at home.
Yeah, we also run a service called PAC, which is PAC. I know it's participatory. It's participatory service, which basically works. Again, it's a preventative service.
Yeah,
it works with primary care, GPs, but it really works around a group of working with clinical services. So the PAC workers, a couple of PAC workers that we have, they basically deliver an ongoing support. So it's very similar to social prescribing, you could argue, but it's a specialist service in terms of the needs and issues of that individual. And we basically take referrals pretty much exclusively from GPs on that. Mm-hmm. And again, PAC is really also about stopping people going into acute care of the system, or probably reducing how much they're accessing primary care, trying to support them to get back to, on their own feet in any kind of way.
Yeah.
So we run that.
Okay.
We also run, what have I got here? We also run a home from hospital service.
Home from hospital.
Which is Home from Kingston Hospital. Again, that's targeting frailer older people, particularly local Kingston people.
Yeah.
People we get, so the referrals that we pick up a lot of the time are people who've really got no one else to help and support them. So often people will be deemed clinically, medically fit to go home from hospital, but they can't get home because things haven't been sorted out.
Yeah.
So we can help set up what is known as microenvironments. We can help move beds downstairs. Mm-hmm. We can facilitate, we can get food into their house so when they come out of hospital. So when COVID broke, we shut our both centres. Bradbury and Raleigh were shut.
Yeah.
But what we did do, we really ramped up all our community support. So we did loads and loads of home visiting. The organisation was brilliant during COVID, made a massive difference. One of the things to continue out of that, and obviously Kingston Hospital really appreciate this, is that the Home from Hospital just basically is a way of supporting people to get back home and get them out of hospital, which obviously the issues the hospital have is obviously they get full, they get beds. If you take away the maternity care in Kingston Hospital, vast majority of people in the beds are older people, quite older, frail people, and there's not a lot they can do for them. And often they're actually better at home or somewhere else rather than being in a clinical acute setting.
And you were using an example of trying to remove things that are quite high and they
we can once people are accessing our services, we can give loads of advice about how to stay independent for as long as you can in your own home. And as we get older and we get frailer and we're not as mobile as we once were, we just need to make small changes around the house to make it a much more safer environment. If you've got a handrail on the stairs, get 2 handrails on the stairs. If you need a bar in the bathroom or a bar outside the house, we can do all of that. But handy person service can fit things such as that, or a key safe. All the practical stuff. So all the things that Staywell does is all around practical help and support for people.
Yeah.
And we do, we've done in the past, we've run counselling services, and hopefully we'll be doing that again in the future. But really, that's what we do. We support people in those kind of areas. But yeah, all the services we do, they they complement each other.
Yeah.
And they've evolved because they support each other. Because the whole thing about having practical help at home, is really, if you've got a handy person, they can fix things, they can get things done. People want a NAS support to have at home because that's where they want to remain. People don't aspire to move into a care home, but not just because of the cost of that, but people generally want to live in their own home for as long as they can. And they can with more help and support, what we have to offer. And it's not exclusively Staywell. There's other people working in the borough. We work with Kingston Carers Network, we work with other organisations, we work with KVA and the wider voluntary sector. So we complement each other in what we do. The main thing I would say Staywell is uniquely is it working and focuses on pretty much the elderly population of the borough. And what we've noticed since austerity, since COVID, since the cost of living crisis, we're working with a lot more frailer crowd now than we've ever done before. Which brings its own challenges because it means things are somewhat more slower, the risk is higher, the cost is higher of delivering those kind of services.
And this is what I want to bring again to the viewers. I have some numbers in here. 19,000 or less is classed as low income, and 36,000 of the population was in poverty in Kingston. So it's quite we all now know very well the cost of living crisis. And again, the objective of us doing this podcast for yourselves is to bring awareness of everything that's available to the residents in Kingston. And we're talking today here with Shane from Staywell, and everything that Staywell can do to over 65 years old residents in Kingston. And again, it doesn't need to be it can be a relative, a friend, a neighbor that you might have a concern of, anybody over the age of 65, for many different reasons, like Shane is explaining, that you can refer them. It's staywellservices.org.uk.
Yeah, we're just known as Staywell. We had to call ourselves Staywell Services because we couldn't copyright.
Okay, the domain, isn't it?
There's an American company called the CapFlap organisation called Staywell as well.
But if they put Staywell Kingston,
Staywell Charity, you'll find us.
Yeah. So you said handyman, social prescribing, community team, help at home,
PAC as well.
Home from hospital.
Yeah.
What are the other?
Well, what I was going to come on to is the community team is information advice.
Information advice.
So I talk about that now.
Yeah.
Our information advice service is a very busy service because it's the most reason why people ring us up is they want to get help and support, and because there's an issue that they have, or there's an issue they have with a relative, or there's an issue they've got concern about a neighbour. And part of the reason why people ring us up is because the world of help and support, and particularly around care and social care, is quite a complex world to navigate. People don't know how it works, and it's not until you need these things that you actually start to think, how do you access this? How do we get help for support for mum, for dad, or whatever? Mm-hmm. And that's often where people start with us. And sometimes what happens is people come to us with a kind of a tip of an iceberg of an issue, and underneath that there's loads more things that we end up helping and supporting with people with. But a big part of what the information advice team do, of which we've got some really, really good volunteers, is that it's an outreach service. So we do go and visit people in their own homes, because we remember that we're working with quite a frail crowd who are not that mobile on the whole and don't run around the borough like a lot of us can do. So we do that. So one of the key things we do is about maximising people's incomes, particularly around issues around money and people getting into debt. It's quite complex. It's not complex. It's just slightly different for older people than it is for generally working age people or kind of families, etc. All of us get hit by the cost of living. The cost of a pint of milk or the cost of a pint of bread. It affects all of us. Now, there's obviously a lot of people out there, if you find it really, really tight, they're not getting very paid much in the work that they're doing, they're paying high rents, etc., etc. But at the other end, with older people, they're still paying the same in terms of bills, for instance, etc. They get a bit of reduce council tax, but not much. So, you know, the electricity bill is for them as it is for everyone.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people do start to struggle in that way. One of the two kind of trigger points, I think, what happens is that one is around about dementia, or there has been an episode in somebody's life. So it's a simple thing. People stop opening their mail. Of course, if you don't do that, your bills mount up. You know, debt collectors get in touch, and people get quite frightened about their circumstances. They get themselves in a mess. So that's one of the reasons we get not a lot of calls like that, but we get a fair amount of calls like that. And the other end as well is where people, because older people, once you come onto pension, you get onto state pension, and the state pension in Britain isn't that great, compared to Germany, France, and Spain. It's much more generous in those countries. In this country, it's not great. I mean, there's a lot of play on saying that older people have got a better deal than younger people. There's like an intergenerational thing that goes on. And it's a mistake to go along with the thing thinking that older people life for them is a lot better than it is for younger people. Well, that ain't necessarily the case. Because
and I have something here, I think what you mentioned about pensioning. So this is poverty rates by demographic characteristics in London, and that's 2021-22. So over 50% of poverty is workless families. But then we see here single pensioner with 30% of poverty being single pensioner. So exactly what you're saying.
It is, because once you're retired, and you're not able to work, you're on a fixed income. Of course, if you're on a fixed income and then inflation has been double digit, life becomes really a lot more expensive. And you get into trouble in that sense as well. So we do get people getting in touch with us where they're being chased down for things, for paying for this, owing money for that. The other big thing where older people struggle, where I would argue is quite unique, is that they're quite generally, particularly it's changing slowly, but we're not there yet. I would say certainly late 70s and over, is there's a lot of digital exclusion. You know, everybody has to download the app for everything nowadays. And I struggle with that anyway sometimes, but people generally do struggle with that. And often that's the only way you can access things. That's the only way you can communicate with your bank, how you can pay your bills. And of course, for a lot of older people, that's just gone by the by. And so, for example, around benefits and income maximisation, I mean, there's the government websites out there where you can put in your name, your address, and your national insurance number, do this, do that, answer a myriad of questions, and it will tell you what you're entitled to. But many older people are not online, and they're not really using. If they're using tech, it's the hand-me-down tech from their sons and their daughters or whatever.
So it's very likely that the ones watching us won't be the majority of the individuals and the people, the residents in Kingston, that would benefit really from your services. So we really need to say, if you're watching and you're hearing and everything that Shane is explaining, where Staywell can help, please refer. Please give them a call. The number here?
Do you want me to say it?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, we're 020-8942-8256.
020-8942 8256. Maximizing income, as you explained, we have also this graph here. The average weekly spending on goods and services for London households by poverty, 2020. And I remember, if we look at the top one, householding poverty, and we come to the yellow, is communication, it's house maintenance and energy bills. But then we also have here recreation and culture. And there is the miscellaneous and good services. So if we look at, so basically it's more or less what you guys are going to do, be able to show people the expenditure and when they can reduce to be able to...
Just on that, in terms of housing in this borough, the housing in this borough is quite old. It's been around a long time. There's the council are rebuilding things like the Cambridge Road estate now, which is obviously good. Now new flats have been built over the last 10 years or so, but generally the housing is very old. Yeah. Therefore, the housing is it's not, and particularly with older people who are struggling. The house, you can tell sometimes by walking down the road, the house is neglected, the front garden's a mess, the windows are old, it can be drafty. It affects people. And of course, when you've got a house that's not well insulated, for example, and you're trying to heat it with an electric heater, it's going to cost you a lot more money because it's not done very efficiently. And there's a lot of that in Kingston.
And do they get support, for example, if they need to get some insulation?
Again, by talking to us, ringing the phone number, you can get support. We work with an organisation called Thinking Works, for example. Yeah. That is an energy efficiency charity that does stuff around. We've done this ourselves. We'll fit draft excluders.
Amazing. We
do stuff around keeping people warm at winter. The winter, it's a nice day today, but the winter generally is a really tough time for a lot of older people, particularly January, February, when it gets really cold sometimes. You get what is known as excess deaths, and Kingston's not so great at that because if you look at the numbers across London and England, Kingston's quite high, but a lot of that I put down to the fact that the housing stock is quite old, even though it's privately owned. And this is another thing about a myth about older people, is that they do live in a house that they bought probably 40, 45 years ago, and is actually on paper worth an awful lot of money. But so they are what people refer to as being asset rich but cash poor. They don't have the money, and a lot of the time, when we talk to people, we do talk about housing, we do talk about moving and possibly going to sheltered housing, where else they'd want to do. But people just get stuck in some of their circumstances sometimes. So we're there to work and help them. And it's about what they want to do, and it's their choice. We're not a statutory organisation. We don't have power over anyone. We're not going to take anything away, and we're not going to do anything to anybody who doesn't want it. It's their choice contacting us. As I say, we're a charity. We're supported by the local authority. We get some funding from the local authority, but we're not the local authority.
Yes.
And often, for instance, when the council run campaigns, so for example, pension credit, which is one of the benefits, which is a trigger benefit, which people can claim, particularly if they're struggling. Again, you can go online and you can go through the kind of the statistics, and it will tell you, yes, you're entitled to this. Most people don't. So the Kingston has not a great take-up of pension credit. There's about 270 people who get it, and pensioners who get it in Kingston, which is quite a low number. But there's at least another third of people who are entitled to that who are not claiming.
A third.
But and we've done things where we work with public health, doing letters, and we sent that out to people about. You can either contact the council, or you can contact Staywell to talk about you might be entitled to this, you might be missing out, etc., etc. And many people have got pride plays a part. People don't like to admit they're struggling, or they don't like to admit they're finding things more difficult than they did do before, and they will soldier on. Where really, what we want is to create people to get because there's a lot of shame around when people are struggling. People don't like to ask for help. Older people, I'm not talking about older people in a generalist way, but generally they're reluctant to accept help and support. And often when we talk to people, we have to kind of break down those barriers, because often it's really important that people have two handrails on the stairs, for instance. You get quite elderly and frail. When we explain why that's beneficial, because if something does happen, you might have to move out of that house altogether. So actually having things like that, preventative things in your house where you're being supported at home, then you're going to live longer together in your own home.
And it's part of what we want to do, destigmatize that. Yeah. So nobody would choose to say, I would like to be in debt. Yeah. And an information that we received in our research is from the local authority is there's a lot of people in debt because of cost of a living crisis that were never in debt before or didn't experience that before. And then what happens is people take quite a while. They first go, I can do it. I can sort. I've got a family, I've got friends, and we will get out. We will get out. And what happens is it just gets worse and worse. And by the time that it will look for help and contact organizations of the local authority, the situation is so difficult. Yeah. it would be a lot easier. So what are the barriers for the clients you work with? That shame for sure, but how can we tell the viewers to try and approach yourselves?
Well, part of the reason we our name is Staywell. We've been Staywell since nearly well over 10 years now. Before that, we were Age Concerned Kingston upon Thames. Before that, we were Older People's Welfare Association. Our heritage goes back to 1946. Part of the reason the changing the name to Staywell is even the words concern had stigma around it. Age has stigma around it. People don't like the word old. They don't like identifying that. For example, a woman requested our handy person service. This is when we were Age Concerned. And she wanted to know whether age concern was written on the side of the van or not. She didn't want that parked in the road. So it was quite interesting. But Staywell means it's more of an inclusive name. It's easy to understand, and it doesn't have the stigma around about age, because getting old has its own stigma things that go on with that. And actually, when you look about who benefits from all what we do, it's often the relatives, it's the carers, it's the sons, the daughters. They're keen to get mum and dad into getting access in this. They're keen to find out what they might be missing out on. I mean, we had a wonderful experience. Well, we had a card, a really good letter. We get great feedback on what we do for our Help at Home service, where a bloke whose wife sadly died in October last year, and he accessed our Help at Home service from the summer of the year before. What that allowed him to do was basically give him respite, so he would be able to go out and do what he wanted to do. He'd gone and played golf or whatever, and all the rest of it. And it took 6 months later, he's written a card to us. He's taken his time to do that, and he made a little donation to us as well. And he talked about how superb that was. See, and that's what we do, and it keeps things. Some time ago, local authorities might have done more and offered more. But we went through austerity, 10 years of austerity, where it reduced an awful lot of what was available to local authorities to do the kind of things that need to be done. And now local authorities find it really hard to fund things in the way that need to be funded, and they have to make tough decisions every year about things. That which affects us, so we have to be quite acute about how we get money, where does money come from, how do we make it work, and that's a challenge for us every year. But because we're a community organisation founded by the community, it's also the community that supports us. So it supports us in terms of volunteering, and it supports us in making donations, etc. I mean, we celebrate 80 years old in 2026, and we want to make a big thing of that. And it's really the community that will keep us going, because the more they support us, the more we can support them. And many people we work with now, not many, but we've got people who we help and support now, who years ago, 10, 20, 30 years ago, were people who used to deliver the services that we did. Wow. We're now helping them, which I think is really, really good.
So it's important for them to see yourselves as a group of friends, a group of people who care and really want you happy. And please summarize again, what are the barriers, what are the most common thoughts that the elderly in Kingston will have? You mentioned one. The client saying, I don't want a van coming near my house saying age concern. So it's worried about the person's image. Everybody has probably work really hard and has that pride. What are other barriers that for us to try and convince people to approach yourselves? Because from what you give a very amazing explanation. You started back in World War.
It goes back to the origins of what it is that we do. Goes back to the 1940s, and during the war under the national government, there was a real big an appeal to local communities to come together to support the vulnerable people in their community. This is obviously national emergency. The country's at war. Blah blah blah. And after 1945. Those organisations, which are known as Older People's Welfare Associations, kept going. So and they supported people. So, for instance, my organisation I'm in now, going way back then, was delivering Meals on Wheels. It did a lot of volunteering. It did a lot of befriending. It did things we still doing.
So the idea always been a group of people who cares to support a group of people who needed some support
Yeah.
and understand
Yeah.
their needs.
Yeah.
So then we have the client about the one not wanting to show, to be visible. What are
The barriers? I think the barriers of stigma plays a big part of that, and the barriers. People want to hold. People really cherish their independence, and they really want to hang on to it for as long as they can. Of course you do, and everybody does. But it's working with people and trying to get people to come to us sooner rather than later, and actually start accessing the things that we do. Start inquiring what's available to support people. Because if you were to say what the kind of 3 areas that we work in, one would be about loneliness. The second would be frailty, and I'd say the third area is around dementia, cognitive impairment. They're the kind of areas that we're working into that. And and loneliness is a huge, huge issue. And it's a huge area because it affects how people feel, it affects their mental health. It can really, being isolated can really reduce how it can make you ill. It can drive you to an early grave. It can really affect your mental health and how that, on what's available and what you can get.
So please get in touch. Please get in touch with Staywell. If you know somebody that needs support over the age of 65, that's the group of people that Staywell will support. It might be a relative, might be a friend, might be a neighbor that in needs, and for the people who are being referred to see Staywell as a group of friends who cares and they understand the needs. You say 3,000. You work with 3,000 clients in Kingston.
There's about nearly 12,000 people who are 75 and over. If you go 65 and over, there's about 26,000 people.
So you look
think about age.
Very good part.
The future's old, right?
Yeah.
So the biggest demographic in this borough that's growing are your 80-year-olds as a percentage.
Yeah.
So you've got just under about 6,000 80-year-olds. Of that, you've got about 3,500 85-year-olds and over.
Wow.
And when you do, as we get older, some things are quite predictable that will happen to us, or things that we should prepare for. None of it's a mystery. It's all very predictable. And the more there's neglect, or people are excluded, or people not involved, the thing about older people generally, and the people we work with, are quite hidden away, and they're hidden away in their own homes. It's take homelessness, which is a big issue.
Mm-hmm.
That can be a very visible thing because people are sleeping right outside Kingston Station. So you're stepping over these people. So you physically see this. A lot of the cohort people we work with we just don't see them because they're tucked away in their own homes. And in that, there's a lot of neglect. It is around sometimes being excluded, which affects things like money and income and how they're struggling, how they're paying their bills. Yeah. But it's also about their health well-being, which affects their mental health and how they feel about things and how they deal with stuff. Clearly, as we get older, we go through a whole period of dealing with loss, lots of it. Lots of people we know have died and whatever. And that can affect how people feel. And it also, how you feel affects how well your well-being, and it affects your health ultimately.
Absolutely.
And we need more things to go on. So the whole thing about prevention and all preventative services is really, really important. And I think even for those who are over 75, we run some great things in the past. We've done lots of different projects, award-winning projects. We had Fit as a Fiddle project, which was very empowering, got groups together, went for walks, did this, did that, people meeting new friends. A brilliant project. But funding's not around to do those things anymore. So it gets tighter and tighter. But I politically, as I would say, because we've got a general election coming up, if there's not the resources or the funding there to do more prevention, there will be more people hitting the acute end of the system because that's where people will end up. That's when you get picked up from an ambulance.
Do you signpost people to other organisations that do similar work that you do, but maybe more in another area? Yeah,
we're part of this. We're part of the local authority. We work closely with adult social care. We work with primary care, GPs. Yeah. We've got contacts, obviously, with the hospital, the acute end of the system. We work with partner voluntary organisations in Richmond and Kingston.
I think RBK was do like a winter bag or something.
Yeah. We do that.
Explain here, but it's an amazing project.
It is, well. Yeah. What you're seeing now, with obviously because of the crisis of things, particularly the cost of living crisis, the housing crisis that comes with that. you're seeing a lot of new organisations pop up, community minded, which is really, really good, and they're very focused on dealing with people in crisis. We're not really set up to do that. We're really geared up to work with people over a period of time in a much more preventative way, and a much more timely way with people as well. But often we're getting people coming to us and there's a whole shed load of stuff gone wrong, and it's going to take a whole long time to sort it all out. There are different types of crises that they happen, and that can be about money, it can be about accessing things, and it can be things about like food, staying warm. And the government gives pensioners extra, there's 400 quid in some instances for extra heating allowance, which obviously helps in some areas, but it's an ongoing thing every year with people. And I just think more can be done in that space around prevention. And unfortunately, because of austerity and because of the cost of living crisis and because of the pressure on local governments, there isn't necessarily the resources, ideally, to do that kind of work. Well, we do what we can. We work with volunteers. We've got 70-odd volunteers. We've got we've got a great staff team. We've got nearly 80-odd staff who are all pretty much local people.
80?
80, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but it's quite a big organisation, to be honest. I think if I think about it as a local organisation, it's not the biggest local organisation. I don't know which one is, if you do it on size of how many people work for it. But then it's been doing it for a long time, and it's doing it with a growing area, really, which is, as I say, the future's old. We're all getting old, and that demographic of over 80s is growing and growing. And what society needs, not just in Kingston, everywhere, you need to have more things that are in place that help and support people to live safely, hopefully stay warmer and stay happy in their own homes for a lot longer. So they're not prematurely hitting what you would call the acute end of the system, and because things have gone wrong, they've not been supported, they're totally isolated, they become what people refer to as hard to reach. They get excluded, then obviously things become a bit of a mess.
And back on what we were saying about how Staywell can help anybody in that. So if I come to you guys and I'm 75, and I decided that I'm gonna get some support or talk to you, and you're gonna do maximizing my income. So the first thing that you said is you're not anybody who will report people or will share the information. If people are scared of I go there, but I have to open my finances to them. What if? Well,
we're not part of the state or the local authority. So if you were 75 and you came to us with issues, we'd talk to you about that, but we'd also try to recruit you as a volunteer as well to do stuff with us. So for example, right, if we come across an area where we're working with a particular older person and it's winter and they're worried about paying the bill, so therefore they're not putting the heating on, we will tell them, put your heating on, don't worry about paying the bill. We
will help.
We will help, and we won't let them cart you off to prison, because people think it's all going to go crazy and it's all going to go this or whatever. But the energy companies who make massive profits, if they end up flinging 89-year-olds into jail, it's not really a good look. And that they should keep the heating on.
Amazing.
No. When I don't, if I was part of an energy company or was part of the local authority, maybe I might not say that, but we can say that, because we can advocate on behalf of people, and we do that. Our information advice team does that, does it with electricity bills. We argue if people get themselves into a mess, how we can sort that out. Because we're working pretty exclusively with vulnerable people, and some of the most vulnerable people in the borough.
And as you said, if there is anything that goes wrong in their homes, and they think, oh my God, now I can't fix it or whatever, that's something else you can also support, signpost, or even support them to maximize the income so they can be able to do it. I think there's one really nice thing here saying that people might not want to become a burden to NHS. I heard that before. An elderly lady saying, I don't want to go to the GP because it's already so busy, and I'm not that ill.
No, you don't. And the thing about our wonderful, and I do support, of course I support the NHS, and one of the things, the way the systems are geared up, where we have social services run by local authorities, the NHS that is run centrally, and they do work together, but it would be great if they work better together. What we want to do around social care and health is work much more proactively with people.
Mm-hmm.
So GPs know all their older people. They've got the lists. They know how many they've got. They know where they live. They know when they last saw them. But the way it works, though, they are demand-led. If you ring them up and you go and see them, and the pressure is at the front door and coming in and what people are bringing up, etc., etc. But ideally, you want to flip that where you're working more proactively. So you start planning for winter in March, April this year, for next year. And you start talking about how do we access our 85-year-olds, our most vulnerable people. Because if they're 85 or 90 or even 100, they you know, who's looking out for them? Well, he's here, as I can see, he lives in number 22, Althorpe Road, I haven't seen him on our list. Our system says, you know, it's a GP. We haven't seen him 6 months now. So, you know, somebody needs to proactively go and do that. And one of the things we can do, that's what we do. Because those people who we work with on a regular basis, you know, are not missing out as much as those who we don't see. We know that from when our home from hospital service, many of the people, not all, but many of the people we pick up at the hospital, they're already known to us in some shape or form. And actually their circumstances, their situation is not as bad as those who we come across who we don't know who they are. There's an 87-year-old here with Mrs. Bloggs, she's never been in touch with us. And often they're just completely missing out on a whole shed load of stuff, which really, if was in place in the first place, would have supported them. And maybe they may not have ended up in hospital in the time that they did. But that's what we're trying to counteract. We're trying to make sure that more people are accessing us and before, particularly those who need us most. That's why we find ourselves working in an area which is now quite frail folk. You know, we work with an awful lot of people with dementia, and therefore, you know, most people with dementia live in the community. 60% of them live in the community, and we know a shed load of them, and we work with their carers and we support them at Raleigh House, and that is a growing number of people.
Dementia, Alzheimer's
disease, all things around cognitive impairment. You know, it can be anything from. Because it depends on what people, the drugs are on. It depends how well they're managed and how well they're supported. But most people can and do live in the community for quite a long time.
With support.
And
it's important, I think it's important to say that the work that you do, for sure, also worrying about the relatives, the friends. Both of my grandmothers, one had Alzheimer's, one had dementia. And I remember how difficult, number one, emotionally for us to see and go through. But the amount of support, and it grows. And when people can have the support of yourselves, how much you can make the struggle that they're going through easier, learn new things, being signpost for any other type of support. So again, please contact staywellservices.org.uk. Very likely that you watching will be somebody who knows somebody over the age of 65 that can benefit from what Staywell. Staywell is in Kingston. The podcast is around debt and supporting individuals in debt. Staywell will maximize your income, the income of anybody over 65 years old. It doesn't need to be that person that contacts Staywell. It can be anybody else that has any concerns. And just going through again everything. So you said you've got a handyman,
handy person. We've got help. Well, I can go through quite quickly.
Okay.
We've got Bradbury. We've got Raleigh House. We've got a community team. Very importantly, we've got an information advice service.
Nice.
We've got a befriending service. Handy person service. We've got a help at home service. We host social prescribers. We've got the PAC team. And we do a home from hospital service. Also, we've got Kingston Community Furniture also as an organisation that sits inside our organisation.
Nice. Furniture as well.
Kingston Community Furniture. Which did really great work during COVID because we supported the hospital with discharges. We did about 150 discharges during that first year of COVID. And one of the things they did, because there's blokes with a van and you can move things around, is moving beds around and hospital beds in people's homes and things. So that played an important role with all of that. But, you know, we work quite extensively with volunteers, clearly, and we support, you know, about 1,100 directly carers, older carers on the whole as well. It's a great organisation. It does some fantastic things, but it's challenging, and the challenges that we have is the frailty of the group that we support, and clearly, you know, resources and funding is a big thing around all of that because price goes up and up and up and up and
Yeah.
up. We try to do, we want a whole shed load of awards. We want to run services that are compliant. There's a lot of regulation around supporting older people. You've got to make sure you've got safeguarding in place.
Yeah.
You've got to make sure we're looking after staff. So we pay staff, they have holidays, they get sick pay, etc., etc. And if you do all that properly, that costs a lot of money. So the cost of running everything, like there is for everyone, is much more than it was. And it's always a challenge about how you keep on doing the services. But what is clear is that there's more older people than ever before. There's more frailer older people than there's ever before. And in that preventative space, it's just becoming barren. It's becoming more barren about who's operating in that space. We are. Some of the people, the local groups also are working in that area as well. But there's much more to be done there, because I think if we get prevention right, specifically what do we mean by prevention? What does it mean for the over 75s, for the over 80s, for the over 85s? Because it does mean different things. And put some more concrete services that support people. That keeps people independent. It keeps them less neglectful, keeps them included, keeps them in a safe, warm environment, and hopefully makes they're more happy as a result of that.
Nice.
So therefore, later life is not such a miserable, frightening experience, which I'm afraid too many people, experience.
Thank you. I'm concerned with time now for the time we've been here. Once again, we are going to have in the screen the website, the phone number, and a QR code as well for you to scan to get more information of Staywell. As Shane has been sharing, I think a big message is prevention.
Yeah, huge.
To approach Staywell, thinking about prevention, looking forward, like he was giving an example of planning for the winter, the end of 2024 and beginning of 2025. Now, March, April. Approaching Staywell, from a quick conversation here, number one, it goes back to the 40s, the beginning of the organization. So the amount of expertise, the amount of knowledge, understanding of the community and the needs is huge, and all of the services they provide. So please do get in touch. Again, if you are somebody who is over 65, get in touch. See what support you could have. I'm sure that everybody would have lots of different concerns, but staywellservices.org.uk, the phone number, or if you are somebody who knows somebody over the age of 65 in Kingston that needs some support as well. Thank you very much.
No, thank you
for being here.
Yeah, it's great.
Great, and hopefully we
come back again. Yes.
So, thank you.
Thank you.
And I have the pleasure to have with me here today Rachel, Hugh, and Tarek, and I would like to now pass for them to quickly say who they are, where they work, their positions, and then we're going to be discussing that. We're going to be trying to destigmatize that and all of the barriers that people sometimes have for not looking for help, trying to support and convince yourself watching us to either, if you're experiencing that, to come and look for help earlier, or if you know somebody, to try and convince and bring to that person the arguments to come and try to find help. Kingston Council has lots of organizations working together to support all the residents in Kingston. So welcome everybody. Thank you for coming. Yeah. Would you like to start, Rachel? Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. So I'm Rachel Dykins from Minding Kingston. I am our Director of Services and Development.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Hugh Williams. I'm the Chief Executive of Save the World Club.
Hello everyone, my name's Tarek Shabir, and I'm the Secretary General of a small local charity called Save the World Club.
Amazing. Thank you very much. So, in this topic, as we were having a chat just before, thank you for already giving so much information. It's amazing. You're going to hear what they do and what the organizations do. Who would like to go first to share a little bit more of what your organizations are doing for anybody experiencing that? Please, Derek.
Hi there. As the Secretary General of a charity that's been going for 35 years in Kingston. I'm speaking about debt, the issues that we're finding when people come to us. And our charity does several things, but mainly we're an environmental charity. We're trying to address climate change and stop things from going into waste. And the main things is food, and then clothes, and then essential household goods that could be repaired and reused and got back. We have a warehouse with 100,000 things in it, which are essential items donated by the public that could be reused or repaired or upcycled. And then we have a cost of living crisis with thousands of people getting more into debt and more struggling. So for our charity, we're in the right place at the right time. We're picking up food from 8 supermarkets and shops, places each day, having 24 volunteers collect that food and deliver it to people who need it. We have people donating white goods, fridges, freezers, microwaves, clothes, retro items and all that. So this is the time maybe where we should be saving the planet, saving the climate, but also saving ourselves by saving money. And what better way to do it than reducing the bills that you're paying through the supermarkets with your food, reducing your energy bills by looking at alternative power and ways of reducing energy by using LED lights, and finding ways to save money on buying clothes for those children, saving money on a fridge that's broken or a freezer. You're struggling already. So when an emergency happens, like a fridge breaks down or you become homeless, you'll need us. Save the World Club will be able to contribute and help. And we'll get onto it. But, one thing is providing the food and the physical needs. The other side, my colleagues will say here, the mental pressure it causes and dealing with the mental issues as well as the physical is most important. So we, as Save the World Club, have to work with other organisations who are experts in that area.
So you said food. So you were telling me earlier that you guys collect how many tons?
It's 45 kilos per location per night, and we do somewhere between 2 to 4 supermarkets or other locations each night. So that comes out to around about 180 to 200 kilos a night.
A night.
A night.
A night.
Wow.
So
you the supermarkets are donating to you because they know, as you guys were informing, you then pass the food to other organizations in Kingston that support with food banks, community fridges, etc.
We don't have a direct connection most of the time with the supermarkets themselves. We go through other partners like Neighbourly and Fairshare who enable us to have that because they deal with the contract side of that. We then supply the volunteers and the team who kind of very dedicated, very passionate about specifically supporting people who are kind of going through hardship.
It already shows a lot of teamwork here in Kingston, a lot of collaboration. So there's another organization you guys work with. And as long as I think I've seen you've got a few vans, and one of them is to pick the food, 3, and you pick the food up, and then you distribute to the organizations that will distribute to the clients. Correct?
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, yes, that's true, but we do more than that.
Okay.
That we have a website and we have phone numbers where anybody in the whole borough can ring us and say, "Hey, I'm starving. The children have got no food. Can you please help?" So what happens? We regularly have people ringing up. I've got 5 kids. I have nothing in the house. I have no food.
Okay.
Please help. So the word is that we're here to help people in crisis, in emergency. They're literally starving. They have nothing, and there is more and more people. They're ringing us, they're emailing us, I haven't got any food, somebody said that you can help, can you help? Now, we'll get onto this. The stigma of being able to ring somebody and say this is one other thing.
Just to say to the viewers, we already spoken to other organizations that do the same, but you guys, as you're saying, not only distribute to the organizations that will distribute food, but if anybody needs, they can also come to you. Is your building that next to Kingston University?
Indeed, 24,000 students are next to us. We are right in the heart of the place. And we have 3 vehicles, a refrigerated van, an electric van, and another one which delivers, but also 24 volunteers each night use their own vehicles to go to the supermarket, pick up and deliver to people who need it. So yes, it's individuals, it's families and community centres. Now, one thing, not to food banks, because all our food is perishable. It's fresh food, salads and potatoes and rice and all all these things, sometimes eggs and whatever. Food banks will not take that. Food banks only will dried food. So they're tinned food. And bless them, thank God the food banks are there.
Yeah.
You know, and also, you need vouchers to go into a food bank. If you're not unemployed, if you're not under there, you need, and if you go...
Do they need vouchers for you guys?
No.
If you're watching, Save the World Club, Kingston University, the Penryn Road campus.
18 South Sea Road, or Penryn
It's
Road.
close by Surbiton High School as well.
Very close.
Your building is there. People can just come and approach you and say, I am in need, my family is in need.
Yes.
There is also the website, savetheworldclub.org.
Yes.
And what's the phone number, please?
Well, that's dependent.
A minute,
We can check it here.
It's on there, 07962 231 860, I believe. 07962
There's our food support form as well.
830. That's right. I got it right. 07962 231 830.
Good.
Please.
So we're going to put in the screen as well,
Yes. Yeah.
the website, the number.
Yeah.
People can go to
And-
the website and find, so they can approach you
Yes.
for food.
Yes.
But all the things that you do, you also have furniture, a lot of furniture.
White goods, clothes
As well.
100,000 items that you could fill your house. Lamps, computers,
Electricals,
televisions, tools, everything, every nut and bolt in the world, every hammer, every spade, every power drill.
Also, it's not only furniture. You've got-
Everything, everything in the whole world.
So
in
people
your
in
garage,
Kingston
shed,
that
and
in
attic.
need.
With
And
limitations.
And it's really nice what you were saying before. It's to also, during the cost of living crisis,
Yes.
where everybody is experiencing the same, and some people get hit harder. It was to try and bring the idea of why getting something new
Yes.
when they can come to you guys if they
Yes.
need have a look in what you have.
Absolutely.
And then how does it work? So I go there, I'm in need.
Yes.
I go and I like a piece of furniture. Do I pay for it?
Eric, Hugh.
Well, so typically you'd come to like our little front desk thing that we've kind of cobbled together.
Yeah.
Our lovely team will kind of speak to you and kind of go, what's this worth to you? What's your situation? How much can you give? If you're in a particularly bad situation and you can't give anything, or you're coming to us and kind of going, oh well, I'm not going to be paid for some time. We can typically kind of go, okay, well, realistically, you're actually giving us a donation rather than directly paying for this thing. Yeah. So we can kind of go, okay, if you're in particular need, and we can usually in some way verify it, or judging from how people kind of approach us, it's usually pretty obvious. We can kind of go, okay, this person needs support. Can we, do this for much less?
And you guys are such a nice team, so welcoming. I've been
Absolutely.
there a couple of times, so people will be very welcome, feeling that they can share, they can talk to you.
Yes.
And
so
reasonably well connected.
If I
as
need
well.
a fridge, my fridge gone. If I need a microwave, if I need a
Yeah.
TV,
Yes.
if I need a sofa, if I need a
Yes.
bed for my kids,
Yes.
if I need a bunk bed.
Yeah, don't get it new, come to us.
Yeah.
Because it's just as good, it's revamped, it's clean, it's fire tested, it's pat tested. And the main thing is, say you come to us, you're in debt, you're in real trouble, you haven't got any money at all. We have been subsidised by Kingston Council and by other grants to give vouchers out.
Yeah.
So if you come to us and say, listen, I desperately need a cooker, it's broken down, or I need a microwave, I need whatever it is, clothes, whatever, we will use those vouchers, whether it's £50 or 100 or 200 or 300 pounds, so or 400 pounds, whatever it is. So our team of volunteers will judge whether you can pay and whether you can't pay, and we'll judge it on people's need. This isn't about money. This is to provide essential goods to make you live a more comfortable life and make your children and yourself be fed, be clothed, and be housed in a comfortable way. There's more to life than money. So don't be afraid to come to us and ask for help. And I think that generally goes with all voluntary groups. They want to help you, and we're here to help you as you get into trouble or whenever. And there's always times in our lives where people get into trouble in one way or another, economically, socially, or environmentally. But we are here to help, and the Kingston community, the voluntary sector, is here to help you.
Food,
Yes.
although you distribute, anybody watching can approach you guys.
Yes.
furniture, but it doesn't stop on furniture. You have electronics
Everything.
in the house or anything, like you said,
Yes.
things maybe you need a couple of things to
Yes.
do a little bit of fixing things in the house.
That's
Can look
right.
for you guys. You also mentioned that you've got a kitchen now.
Yes.
And you're trying to bring the idea for people to have more passion, let's
There
say,
we
for
are.
cooking.
Yes.
For cooking instead of buying frozen meals, etc.
That's right. Well, if I could explain, for 30 years, we've been collecting food from all types of outlets and
Yeah.
getting out to people. And especially in the last 3 years since coronavirus hit as well, we've really upped it. We've had more volunteers, with more supermarkets to pick up from, health and safety. We've trained our volunteers and all that. But listen, we don't want to keep giving food forever to people. And it is an emergency food. The food banks don't want to keep giving food. What is the answer for poverty and food poverty? Well, listen, we must train people to learn how to, number one, if they can, grow their food on balconies, in gardens, waste space, and understand the physical, mental benefits of doing that. Number two, if they get food, cook that food. How do you cook food that's healthy, that's good? And then third, avoid buying food in the supermarkets or shops or fast food that is destroying your budget, that is completely reducing is killing you, is making you more obese and more unhealthy as well, and is destroying your bank budget. You're spending money all the time. If you could cook those burgers at home, or cook those chips at home, or cook a stew, or cook something healthy, or a shepherd's pie, whatever, and then explore new diets of vegan and vegetarian and healthy.
What you're saying, we
use our kitchen to learn to cook, and we will be running various things to teach people the skills, the young people again, learn to cook and to share and to eat together and drink.
Some organizations, and we spoke to Staywell just before, and a couple more, are doing income maximization. So they're supporting anybody who looks for support, how they can help looking at their budget and how they can reduce. And one thing we were discussing exactly what you just said, the expenditure that we have. So the green one, restaurants and hotels. So when we look at the green versus maintenance and energy bills, and how much people can reduce their expenditure by sometimes because they don't know how to cook or don't know how to ideas, and you guys are bringing, so in a way that service you're providing with the kitchen and supporting people, teaching them how to cook, is also supporting people maximizing their income, isn't
and
it?
perhaps when they learn to cook and eat healthily, they'll start thinking about, what are they drinking? Are they drinking too much alcohol? Are they smoking too much? Are they getting more healthier? And if that happens, then you'll be reducing the expenditure on other things that are unhealthy, and hopefully having more in the budget. But again, the final thing I'd say, the big lack that we're finding out there, the public is not financially literate. Half the population is put their head in the sand and forgetting about their financial woes and just getting more into debt until it's far too late. Then they come running to the council and CAB and other groups and say, look, I'm 20, 30, 40, 50,000 pounds in debt. So this must be stopped. People must understand, as they get into debt by 1,000, 2,000, whatever, stop. What is the problem? Let's get the support from Mind, from us, from CAB, from the Law Centre, whoever. Don't be ashamed to deal with it before the problem gets worse. And to do that, we'd have to then start financial literacy. How does somebody do a personal budget? How do they know what's coming in and out? How do they manage this? You're not taught this in school. We are taught how to do computers and how to do everything else, but we're not taught how to grow food. We're not taught how to cook food. We're not taught how to manage a bank account. And this is a serious issue.
The budget.
Manage your budget. And if half the population or 3/4 of the population doesn't do that, of course there's going to be more debt.
So credit cards, probably a big villain of that. So people are adding things. I've got a credit card, I'm not in debt, I'm going to get rid of it at some point, and then it goes more and more. So what we're asking is, please come and ask for some support before. Come and ask to get a little bit of a hand to see why, when I get my salary, I'm not being able to pay the bills and even start saving some money. And there's lots of organizations in Kingston being able to do it here.
And you can do it. You can come out of debt. Whether you're 1,000 or 5 or 10 or 40, I've seen people with £50,000 worth of debt come out of it over a number of years, managing it.
Here we go.
CAB, the Law Centre, other good people who are experts in debt. Don't feel ashamed that this is something you can't dig yourself out.
And don't pretend it doesn't exist because the credit card is there and you can move. After a while, you can get a new one, transfer the thing, and then keep going on this.
And don't feel you're ashamed that you're the only one. There are many people in the same situation who are keeping it secret and not saying that they're in this position. And then it poisons your heart, your soul. It rots and it eats away at you, and your heart, your mental health. And then it starts to move into what we're going to talk to Rachel in a minute about mental health. Just one more thing. So, if you're watching us and you know somebody in debt, or you know somebody in need, Save the World Club can support with food, with clothes, with furniture, electronics for your house. They have a kitchen there. It's a very big, nice building that they are. Lovely team. I've been there as well. Matt is really amazing. You can go there and get support. Yes.
However, if you're watching and you're thinking of how can I help? I'm not in debt, but I would like to help. You guys have vans that you can go and collect furniture as well, isn't it?
Yeah, if I start then, Hugh, we have 3 vehicles. Thank God, provided by the community and the council. But we have a refrigerated van, essential for picking up the chilled foods and getting it out without any problems. A removal van and a small electric van, which whizzes around all over the place constantly, day and night, picking up dropping food. But what we really need, number one, we need people to donate to us their furniture, their goods, their things that they don't need so that other people can benefit. And we're saving the environment. We're not throwing it away. We're not landfilling it or burning it and putting it in the environment. And then we store that and we get it out as soon as possible. That's why our place is called the circulatory. The things come in and the things are repaired and upcycled and go out as fast as possible. We don't want them to store in there. That's why we've had 4,000 tons worth of household goods and food come in and out to our organisation in 4 years. About 1,000 tons a year. If you add up all the fridges and the food, 1,000 tons a year.
Wow. And I see sometimes people leaving things outside shops, charity shops, because
and they can't
so they can come to you and drop to you.
No. We are not a recycling centre, and we do not take things that cannot be given to other people. It has to be clearly quality things that you get out. At the same time, we have taken things like So Much Clothes and sent 4 or 5 times to Ukraine through other charities. We've sent 40-ton shipping containers out with all the things that we couldn't give out here to Kampala, to Uganda. So they use everything out there and they don't dispose of it. And so there's lots of ways. But our first choice, let's get 90% of things that we are collecting here in Kingston out to the 90% of people who need it in Kingston. We have people, 3,000-4,000 children a day wake up without any breakfast. They don't have enough food. And at the same time, we've got 15 supermarkets throwing away hundreds of tons of food.
And I've seen the statistics is not really good for the next few years, showing more children will be in poverty.
That's it.
And it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. So if you're watching and you can help, you don't know how, there's lots of organizations. We're going to talk to Minding Kingston in a minute as well. Lots of organizations. You can contact Save the World Club, can donate electronics, can donate clothes, can donate furniture. If you're not sure if they will take or not, I'm sure you can go on their website. The number will be here on the screen as well for you to contact them. When we in debt, I experienced that before, and I remember anxious, depressed. It gets much harder to think of a solution. And again, who are you going to talk to? Who you can trust to come and say that you're in debt, then you can help. And how does Mind Kingston support then? You said, I think you were saying that 50% national statistics of the clients that come to Mind nationally are in debt.
So it's slightly the other way around, so I can just introduce a bit about Minding Kingston. Thanks, Marcus. We provide mental health support to any individual locally. So that's across Kingston upon Thames, but also outside the borough as well.
Yeah.
Anyone who might be experiencing issues or problems with their mental health. We also get a lot of inquiries from, friends, family networks of people, looking for how that they can best support someone who might be experiencing.
So people referring others.
Yeah.
Somebody that they
exactly.
know and they care.
Yeah. So we've been in Kingston for 50 years now, just over 50 years. And, it's
50 years.
I love that fact because I love to think of, the group of people in 1972 who started Mind in Kingston. And it's since then we've always been led by people with lived experience of mental health and mental illness who are really passionate about making an impact locally. So we're part of the National Mind Federation. So that's we're linked with National Mind, which a lot of people know, but also there's about 110, I think now, local minds across England and Wales. So we're one of those local minds. What that means is we're actually fully independent as a charity, so we don't receive any direct funds from Mind. So we do all our own local fundraising, but what that means is that we can really look at, what are the needs in the borough? How can we work with the strengths and with our amazing diverse communities? How can we really make sure that we're reacting to what the local need is?
Okay.
So
I'm gonna just say that we're gonna have here again Mind's website, Mind's phone number, as you can see on the screen there, mindkingston.org.uk.
mindinkingston.org.uk.
So 0208 255 3939, info@mindkingston.org.uk. For both organizations, we are going to be putting on the screen for you to see how you can contact them as well.
Thank you. Yeah.
And Rachel, there is quite a bit of stigma around mental health we were discussing. And would you be able to share so we can demonstrate to people, try to break those stigmas, and show how important it is to look for some support and yourselves here in Kingston?
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's really great to be here while you're talking about debt, because I know we've talked a lot about the stigma around talking about debt. I think as you've correctly said, I think things are slowly changing, but there's still a lot of stigma around mental illness, around how we support people who might be struggling with their mental health. I think we're still not at the stage where it's the same as how we support people who are experiencing physical health conditions. And we obviously provide a lot of mental health support services.
What's the biggest stigma? What do people think? I'm not going to look for mental health support. Well, because I'm not crazy, or what do you reckon is the rationale when people are not comfortable, not confident to look to seek for support?
Yeah. So I think you're right. There's still probably a lot of damaging misconceptions out there, about the language that might get used, some of those really damaging words like crazy,
people might think
labeling.
They would be labeled as.
Yeah. But also, just a lack of understanding around mental illness. I think also, it doesn't help the way it's often portrayed in the media. I think really, really serious mental health conditions, that might involve psychosis, hearing voices, all things like that, can sometimes be, portrayed in a really damaging and just completely incorrect
and put people
way.
off.
Yeah, and I think, one of the biggest misconceptions people have, is that people who are struggling with severe mental illness might be dangerous, or things like that. But actually, we know that those people are much more likely to be at risk themselves from harm from others, which I think says a lot about our society, sadly.
Who's the normal?
Yeah.
Who is considered not having, as you're saying?
And I think as well, people are still worried, what are other people going to think? what are, you know, if I disclose this in an interview, you know, am I gonna experience discrimination? You know, in the workplace, if I actually share what's really going on for me, am I going to be discriminated against? You know, so there's, you know, of course there's real reasons that people are scared, you know, or worried about talking about
the
mental illness.
Discrimination that comes with you sharing that you experience mental health and you got support.
Absolutely, yeah, and people just, you know, maybe misunderstanding, you know, what that can involve. You know, I think also there's lots of oversimplification, or, you know, for example, to use the example of OCD, you know, obsessive compulsive disorder, you know, you still get people saying, oh, that's a bit, you know, I'm a bit OCD, or, you know, when they're actually meaning, you know, they like things to be clean or tidy. That's not what OCD is, you know. It's the word disorder is in there, you know, and it can be really debilitating, and you know, actually, but people's understanding might be just a fraction of what it actually is to live with a condition like that. So
would you be able to give, so you said OCD, would you be able to give some more examples of what, so for the viewers, everybody watching, what is anxiety, depression, what other conditions are considered some mental health condition that people can get support and probably should?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a whole range of different mental health conditions, I think, and within that, you know, someone's experience of depression is going to be very different to someone else's experience of depression. You know, it's as varied as physical illness. So, but yeah, you've mentioned a few, you know, there's a few great examples there, you know, anxiety, depression, you know, schizophrenia is another one as well, you know, that lots of different conditions. But I think what we feel very passionate about at Mind in Kingston is, you know, we don't approach things that, you know, from the perspective of what's your condition, what's your diagnosis, you know. When someone comes to us, anyone can approach us, you know, and we talk a lot about how we manage our mental health. Every single individual has mental health in the same way we have physical health, you know. So, but we don't talk as much, or we might not be aware as how we look after our mental health, you know, how everything, you know, that you were mentioning, how food, how sleep, you know, how stress, how all these things impact our mental health. And, you know, any one of us at any time might experience mental health issues. You know, the statistics are 1 in 4.
1 in 4.
I personally think it's, you know, probably higher than that. You know, because we're all human, and this is, you know, it's a very human experience to experience mental health issues.
So in a way, what you're saying is people approaching yourselves, what you really worried is how do you give some training to the individuals to understand how they can live better, how they can deal better with anything they believe that might be affecting them?
Yeah, I think it really depends person to person. So we talk about having a person-centered approach. That's not just a phrase we use, it's the core to our values, you know, that when someone comes to us, you know, we want to hear from them, we want to listen, you know, listen to what they're experiencing, create a safe space, a non-judgmental space where they can talk to us about what is happening in their life at the moment, you know. And then go from there. And I think then the support can look different, you know, for all different people. You know, we also have, you know, do a lot of things that is about, you know, preventing problems with our mental health. So, you know, we have a lot of physical activity well-being groups, things like a weekly mindful walk. It's called Happy Feet, our group.
Nice.
And you know, this is every Monday we go out, we get into nature, into the community, and it's a way of, you know, we all know there are things that we can do to maintain positive mental health, to look after us, and so we offer a lot of services that are just open to anyone who's looking to look after their mental health and well-being, and be quite proactive about how they do that.
And meeting up with other people that might be suffering from the same.
Absolutely.
Probably helps a lot in terms of sharing and hearing. I'll go through the same, and then understand that you're not alone on this.
Absolutely, yeah. I think so many of our groups, our services are open, and people, you know, someone said to us recently, you know, the services don't just improve lives, they save them. You know, because, you know, and that came from someone who is a really long-term member of our football for mental health programs. So we have a Kingstonian Mind United football club. Amazing. And it's exactly that, you know, the groups, the sessions, the support that we offer, it's about, you know, meaningful connections with other people. It's a reason to get out of the house. You know, it's a place where you can be yourself and not be scared that you're going to be judged by other people around you. You know, and you know, we have drop-in cafes as well that run out of hours. You know, all these different kinds of spaces. Obviously, we offer the more traditional kind of counselling, art therapy, lots of, you know, you've got our website there, lots of different services.
So to clarify to anybody watching, is if I ring you guys up and I share and I decide to get some support, it's not only somebody that will be welcoming and talking, as you said, focusing on the person. There are lots of other things that you're doing together with groups that people can exercise together, or lots of other different activities or ways that you will. So it's not only for people to understand that you ring them up, you're going to have to just be talking about what you have. There's plenty of different approaches, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. And it just really varies person to person what some experience someone is at. You know, we do have services that are more designed to support people who are experiencing severe mental illness, or you know, and we can signpost people who might be in mental health crisis. We can make sure that they're getting the support they need. But you know, we also, as you said, are kind of an open door with all these different places to connect with other people. And you know, a lot of our support is about helping people to, you know, improve their confidence, you know, because I think how we feel about ourselves, you know, is, you know, and coming back to the topic, thinking about debt and things like that, there's, you know, anything that we might be feeling ashamed about or scared, you know, all of our services, we say, you don't come as you are. You don't need to be, you don't need to put on a brave face, you know, you don't need to come and pretend to be feeling, you know, a different way than you actually are. Come as you are, you know, and our team, whether it's our staff or volunteers, but also, as you said, the other people in the group, you know, there'll be someone there who's been where you are. And I think that's really powerful, you know, just to really, you know, I think isolation, loneliness, you know, all of this that contributes, that ties into people who are experiencing debt as well, you know, anything like that, the way we're feeling.
So, for example, somebody watching and having an issue in the relationship that it's affecting, as you say, the person thinks he should be putting a face when the person's not well, a work, pressure, or any other, or debt, as we're talking, and I'm going to move a bit more into debt now. And does people think, oh, no, that's okay, next week I'm better, or next month I'm better, or this is going to get better? But in fact, is affecting the person so much on the daily basis that might not get better if they also don't get some, if they don't feel better, if they don't feel more confidence, the situation might not improve as well.
Yeah, I think, like you know, I think as we were saying earlier, debt and mental health can impact on each other, you know. So if you're in debt, you're
and other factors there. So mind will help not only whoever's in debt, but if you're having any concerns about the example you gave, that doesn't necessarily need to be in debt, they can come to you as well. And there are plenty of other situations in our lives that could be putting pressure on us on a daily basis and end up affecting our mental health. So work, relationships, is there something that you...
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I think, as you said, you know, and life is hard, you know, life can be really difficult. And I think that phrase of, you know, we're all in the same storm, but the boat that we're in is going to look different. You know, what we've got, what the resources we've got available to us are going to be different for different people. Yeah. So, you know, some people who approach us, you know, we ask, you know, do you have someone in your life who you can talk to, trusted people, you know, and some people say, no, there's no one, you know. So, yeah, as you say, it could be work stress, it could be relationships, it could be problems with your physical health, you know, or your access to food, or your something that's impacting your sleep is actually then, you know, causing real problems for your mental health. So yeah, anything in the same way that so many things can impact our physical health, it's the same for mental health.
Particularly, I was talking to Christians Against Poverty. And they were mentioning the amount of people that they hear they are thinking of suicide.
Yeah.
And because of that, because they can't see a way out, they might have family, they might have kids, or whatever happened, and terrible mind states, and I'm sure you probably get people coming with thoughts that way, and that's making it worse.
We do, absolutely, and I think as well, again, a topic that we don't talk about enough, and so many people who might have thought about suicide, you know, it can be a very lonely place, but I would say to people, you know, more people are having those thoughts than you think, you know, and but yeah, absolutely, you know, if you're in debt, but lots of other situations that might be happening to you where you start to feel hopeless. And I think when you can't see a way out, when you might have really tried to find a way out. You know, we talk about people maybe coming to services too late, but there's a lot of people who are really trying and really proactively looking for support. Yeah. And, you know, might not be getting to the support they need. And then when they're hopeless, that can be a dangerous place.
So if you are experiencing that, if you or any other type of mental health struggle that you're going through, we all running around with our routines, busy or work or anything else, or looking after the home. There's a lot of people worried. There's a lot of people caring in Kingston. A lot of organizations, as you can see here, some of the podcasters we've done, a lot of people that want to help. So please look for help. There's plenty of different helps in here, as you just heard from Rachel Mind, and we heard from Hugh and from Tarek here as well. And how do we break those barriers? How does your organizations break the barriers on this? Yeah, Tarek.
Well, the first thing, yes, I agree with you. There is a lot of help if you know where that help is. The truth is, if you're depressed, if you're in debt and whatever, you look on the internet, there's so much information. There's so much that there's Mind, National, whatever, there's us, there's whatever. Really, do they really know who can really help them out of debt? People are baffled with the amount of information. Yeah. You're drowning in information. Who is really going to help you? Who is really there? Now, this is where we need help. Why we're here doing this podcast. We're praying and hoping that people will hear us in Kingston and beyond. We're hoping that people will know about what we do in Save the World Club in giving food and vouchers and furniture and clothes, and what Mind will do to help you improve your mind. And get yourself out of it, and address the feeling of hopelessness and helplessness that we're providing a positive thing. So I think definitely raising awareness is non-stop. And for us, small charity. I mean, Mind is a national charity that has got a national name, but whether people in Kingston know that there's a Kingston Mind is another matter. Yep. And we are a very small charity, just growing just for Kingston, and we don't cover anybody else. So we are small and we don't have those national links. You're big and have those national links. So we need to connect together and use your expertise.
So we need to ask the viewers, if you're watching, share that video.
Yes,
send that video.
Share this video. Share this blog. Tell your neighbours.
You may think that I'm not sure if that person is or not. Send, because the idea of us doing the podcast is purely to inform you in Kingston of everything that's available here. And again, it doesn't need to be only the audience watching. Only if you are experiencing that. Yes. You might know somebody that needs that help. That's right. And as Tarek is mentioning here, we're trying to bring it. There's so much available. Yeah. Amazing people, everybody caring, everybody there donating their time, their efforts. working to try and improve the community.
I think perhaps the attitude is maybe that we think the government's going to help you, or the wider council, or somebody else's. But no, actually, perhaps the support is in the local community, in your town and village, in your borough here, where you can meet people with the same problems and experiences and confidentially they can explain how they've come out of it. Okay, whether it's a marriage breakup, whether it's depression, whether it's losing a job, whether it's being into debt. But actually, if you don't share that confidentially and find that way, you will get more depressed, you will become more suicidal, and this is what we're trying to deal with. And can I finally say as well, one of our remits of our charity is to use art and humour as a way out of it. And I'm sure when you go to Mind, when you come to us, it's a cup of tea, a little bit of love, a listening ear, sharing a little humour and bringing some brightness to a situation which feels so dark and desperate, that actually when you hear it from somebody else who's seen the ways out for it and adding a little bit of humour and a bit of life, then you will feel better.
In our YouTube channel, we have this story of Robin shared his story here, and it was exactly this. He was sharing his story of how he got into so much debt. He had a house, he had a flat, he lost the flat, then more things, and it's amazing that he's sharing, and hopefully people listening can think that was a very strong case, and he managed to get out, and he said himself, I wish I had looked for help before,
of course,
because I would have done it. And when you were talking, it was coming to my mind, people who perhaps say, I don't need to go to Mind, I've got a friend who can listen to me. But then how much can that friend help if it's not that friend's expertise?
That's right.
And I think, there's always a place for that, but you might come along to one of our groups and make some more friends.
More friends.
And I think, I think you're absolutely right. I love, that we're talking about the power of peer support, from other people who've walked that path, and absolutely, those spaces, when you have those just conversations, those open conversations where there's room to, maybe talk about some of the serious stuff that you feel you don't want to worry your friend about, you don't want to burden your family with, but this is somewhere you can come. You don't have to worry about that. We're here to listen. We're here with that cup of tea to listen. That's why we're here. And but absolutely, like the groups that we run, there's some amazing things that have come out from our groups, and people having lifelong friendships, going on to, our football club has travelled the world together in different tournaments. They've organised that outside of us, to go and do that because they've made those connections. But really we see that people want to support each other, and I think also that thing as well. It helps us to help other people. And so you can actually be in a really dark place yourself. You can come, and obviously, our main purpose is making sure that you get the support that you need. But you might find actually that you can help someone else. And your experience is going to be powerful to share with someone else, and that's where we tackle the stigma. That's where we have these conversations. You can have a drastic impact on someone else's life because they no longer feel alone, and I think mental illness or our mental health, or our brains, let's face it, they like to tell us the worst case scenario sometimes. They like to
stick to the negative sometimes.
And they like to make us feel like we're alone, and that is not true. And I think this is what this podcast, that what you're doing is really showing people, that yes, all these support groups are here, and but ultimately none of us are alone. And if you can just open that door and have that conversation, with someone that you can trust, and and often we need to know that that's going to be confidential, or that is going to be really a respectful conversation. Come to places, like Mind in Kingston, like Save the World Club, and it might just be the first step out of that darkness, out of, because, it's we talked about hopelessness. It's frightening, it's really frightening. It's absolutely scary. None of us should have to deal with these things alone. And we've touched on, we don't necessarily get given the tools, to deal with this. And then when we struggle or when we get things wrong, we can, have that fight, flight, freeze
Yes.
response, you know, and I think the reason things snowball or people aren't coming, you know, are not coming till, you know, they're in a lot of debt, you know, it's not because they don't want help. They desperately want help, but there's so much fear about telling someone or sharing it. And often our body is in a physical state of terror, you know, or real fear.
Your
and
head is buried in the sand.
Because that's how we're trying to survive. We're trying to, you know, and we're not burying it in our sand because, you know, it's not important or we're careless. It's because it's frightening, you know. So
it leads to, you know, severe mental health issues, but it's, you know, procrastination, severe procrastination. This is the case that, look, this problem, I don't want to think about it. I'm just going to let it build up, and something will
becomes a
turn up.
cycle, isn't it?
Yes, so it's a cycle. So unless, you know, friends are wonderful as people and advocates as well, but there's nothing wrong to seek a counsellor, an advocate who would confidentially give you impartial advice as well, and take that advice. There's no harm and there's no cost in doing that.
I think we all talking here about. There is a lot of people here in Kingston that are helping and supporting the residents in Kingston to transform a negative situation into positive, and showing that after you transform, you can help transforming other people's negative situation in positive. We heard if you have, I don't know, 50, 100,000 pounds in debt and you think you made a mistake, do not stay there. Ask for help. There's Rachel, Hugh, Tarek here, plenty other people that we have interviewed and will be sharing that are there waiting to support. So go and look for help. And even more, you might get, as Rachel is sharing here, other things that will come with you. You will engage with people that are probably in similar situations. You're probably going to end up making some more friendship, increasing your network. You will be able to inspire other people because you've taken that step. So it's really, really, really the amount of people to support, to do something, to not sit in this and think it will go away or somebody will come and knock my door and help. Seek that help. There's plenty of help there. Hugh, please.
So I was just going to touch on something that was mentioned probably at this rate about 20 minutes ago. I was going to say, firstly, especially don't beat yourself up for not seeking help sooner, because that's something that everybody always does. Once they've finally gone through with the process, they kind of go, oh, I wish I'd started sooner. Don't worry about that. Just, you know, seek that help.
Do it now.
Do it. Once you've done it, you can say, I've done it. Right? That was the first one. And the second one was also to mention that we also run a social isolation recovery cafe in New Malden in the Kingston Environment Centre every Saturday.
Every Saturday?
Every Saturday from 12 till 4.
12 till 4.
Everyone is welcome and everything is free.
Where is the cafe, please?
The Kingston Environment Centre, so that's on...
Kingston Environment Centre.
Yes, in New Malden.
Where in New Malden?
Number 1 Kingston Road, KT1 2PE.
KT1?
No, it's KT3 2PE.
KT3.
I think it might be 3PE.
3PP. Anyway, but it's number 1 Kingston Road. It's right on the
it's on the roundabout.
Of the Fountain Roundabout at the end
roundabout
of the
in New Malden, where you have Nando's.
The Fountain.
Yes.
That's the Fountain Roundabout.
That's the Fountain
where
Roundabout.
Nando's is just
and
there.
it's right next to Nando's.
It's next to Nando's.
Next to Nando's.
So
yeah.
next to
everyone
Nando's.
knows where Nando's is.
In New Malden.
Funnily enough, the Environment Centre shares a water outlet with Nando's, so they sometimes get their water bill, which is...
Here we go.
But yeah, no, head for Nando's in New
Every
Malden.
Saturday between 12
and 4 p.m.
Every Saturday, 12 till 4.
So the idea is that the cafe itself is there to support people either coming out of social isolation or just to recover from life generally. Wow. So it's an open space, and we use some of the food surplus that we get from the collections the night before to kind of go towards supporting that. So that helps us reduce our running cost. There have also been other Square One cafes launched by other organisations locally. it's more of a model than it is like something that we ourselves own. And we're kind of trying to kind of persuade more places.
Yeah, and what they do at Square One is not just give food and eat. Yeah. No, they play games. So chess and cards, dominoes, Scrabble.
It's about meeting people
and meeting each other, talking. I mean, you know, whether you want to talk with a little group of your own or with others, and
or not talk to anyone at all.
You know, and signposting.
And the fun side, you say.
And it's the fun side.
But play a game.
A serious element. Look, if somebody has an issue, they want to share it impartially with somebody there. Yeah. You know, they're not trained counsellors, but they're trained enough to signpost to counsellors, to MenCap, to Mind, to other people who can give that support. So don't feel that there's not the support there. There is. Come to a community cafe like the Square One or to the Mind cafes that they do and just talk. Don't feel ashamed, as Hugh says.
Amazing. Yeah. Now, unfortunately, we're coming to the end. So what I would like is if you can, you just shared about the cafe, Mind Kingston or anything else, the Save of the World Club, you would like to share any other events or any other projects that are happening there, so we can also promote it.
If I could share, please.
Do we have another half hour?
Very, very quickly, because it's spring and the weather is getting better, longer weather, warmer weather. We'd invite people to come and participate at Save the World Club with our gardening project. We have a secret garden, so don't tell anybody, a 3,500 square foot backyard, which we have for the next 4 years, and we'll be training and helping people to grow seeds, grow their herbs and fruit and vegetable, and we will give you potatoes and herbs and seeds. We'll give you and loan you tools so that you can do your garden or whatever. And if you can't do your own place, come and grow it with us. So that's every Thursday, 3 o'clock till 5. And then finally, we have our open days happening and barbecues every last Saturday of the month from May to August.
Every last Saturday of the month?
Every last Saturday of the month, and that'll be from 2 till 6.
Your barbecue is where?
Yeah, it's at 18 South Sea Road at our base.
Next to
so this is a chance for
building
everybody.
next. So one is the cafe in New Malden.
Every
Saturday. 10 to 4. And every last
Saturday at 18 South Sea Road.
At your building, which is next to Kingston University, Payne Road, Kent.
It's in the area,
And of course,
there's also barbecue.
That's it. And finally, and it's free and open, and people can browse and see. But we're open every day from 12 till 7. 12 till 7. And on Saturdays, 2 till 6. But, just come and see what we have, and you'll find an Aladdin's cave and something you'll like and something you'll want to help.
And remember, if you want to also help, if you need the help, we explained a lot, but if you also want to help, you can help. You can donate, you can volunteer.
Indeed,
can people volunteer with yourselves?
And Hugh and our Save the World Club has a great website where we put up a lot of events. Every week we say all the events that happen throughout the whole of Kingston.
Which is Save the World Club.
SaveTheWorldClub.org.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Hugh, any events and things we've got?
Not off the top of my head. There's a lot of stuff going on. There's a possible thing happening next week, but I don't know if this is going to be out by then or if that will be relevant.
But definitely use of our kitchen. One last thing, we have an event this Saturday and the following Saturday, 11:30 till 2, where actually now people are learning how to cook.
11:30 to 2.
Yeah, 11:30 till 2. It's just first one, but we're starting, and there'll be
with the kitchen.
Several ones over the next few months.
Okay. Yes, this is the one in collaboration with Shine Bright UK. Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
So there'll be more things like that. So watch our website, please.
Amazing.
That's great.
And Mind Kingston, Rachel.
Thank you. Yeah, just want to. I suppose we've talked a lot about the kind of things that we offer that are open to everyone. Yeah. I would also just like to touch base on what we offer to younger people and also to older adults as well. So for younger people, thinking about debt and all mental health issues, these are massive issues still for young people that are facing young people. So we're based in Kingston College as well. We've got some of our team that are there. So if you're a student at Kingston College, ask about the Mind in Kingston.
So to make it very clear, when we're talking about debt, is not specific to any age, to any situation. Anybody in debt, as you mentioned, some students as well. Can approach you guys.
Absolutely, yeah. So I think what we can really offer people is a safe space to to start talking about this. So come and start. If you are not ready yet to deal with the practical, come and just talk to one of our team, and we will help you. As I said, we will help you break down all of the information and know what that next step is. So just for younger people, we also are working with our colleagues at Richmond Mind and the amazing charity Creative Youth. We're doing some creative, amazing, beautiful things with young people. So there's mindful art sessions that are happening, open to anyone, and you can also get some one-to-one support from a youth worker. That's all free. Also for older adults, we have our amazing Alfriston outreach team who get out into the community. They're supporting some of the most vulnerable older adults who are, a lot of this stuff, support is available digitally. It's all at our fingertips. But for older adults, that's and I know you had Shane here earlier talking about
exactly
that.
The same, yes.
But the Alfriston team, they can do support with people's laundry, hot meals, really low cost hot meals. They support with picking up prescriptions. They provide urgent support to older people that are often discharged very suddenly from a hospital. They will help them. Sometimes they're discharged and kind of given an address to go to, so they'll make sure that they can get there safely, that they have the support they need. So they're doing amazing things to tackle loneliness, isolation.
I'm going to use an example for whoever is watching here. What I wanted to share is I'm thinking people watching us. And when you're talking, I'm thinking about my neighbor. And exactly when you say, we offer something to pick up prescription. And it's exactly what I know sometimes she struggles. She's almost blind. She's 86. And so you can help. You can support. You can maybe have a chat with the person and say, did you know, or do you want me to refer? Can I bring the concern to you guys? Because what I was going to ask you, if there is mindkingston.org.uk, got the phone number, the email is going to be on the screen, but the ones who don't use the digital world, how do they come to you? Probably by referrals?
By referrals and by people in our community, keeping an eye out for other people. And but this is the problem. This is where those people that are really isolated, that don't have those networks of friends, families, when they're being discharged from hospital, who's there to help? Alfriston Outreach, part of our team, they are there to help. Do have a look at them. If you scroll down as well, just on our homepage. So we've been picked as Charity of the Year for the Hampton Court Marathon.
Congratulations!
Which is great. So but there's here this is updated every week. So this is our and this isn't everything that we offer, but this is this is some of the just free. Opened by self-referral. Happy Feet.
Wellbeing Football.
We have a jogging group.
Art sessions.
We have an
online cafe, face-to-face.
Online quiz for people that, a lot of people do struggle to get out of the house. But we're still there to support you and you can still connect with other people. So, this is updated every week. It varies. But we also have our Magpie project, which is specifically with the Korean community. So we have Korean speaking staff, we have Korean counsellors. There's so much on offer. I'd also just signpost our just to give a shout out to our Champions for Change. Amazing. So they are our amazing champions, people from the local community who are really passionate about challenging mental health, stigma and discrimination. Great. And that really ties into what we're talking about today. So if you feel passionate about this, if you want to get involved in campaigning locally,
can be a champion.
Getting out there, become a champion.
So thank you very much for all of the champions on Mind Kingston for the great work you're doing there.
Thank you. We've and I'll just say actually we had a Champion for Change event where we were talking to the community, going out, having conversations around mental health, breaking the stigma. And we were like, a great way to get people to come. We offered a lovely hot meal of hot chili for everyone who came. And at the end of the day, we had leftover food. And we were like, what are we going to do this? We called Save the World Club. They came and picked it up, made sure it didn't go to waste. So I just wanted to tie that in as well. If you're a community organisation locally that's doing support, and is watching can also
Yes.
Talk to save the world.
Work together.
Collaborate.
Yeah.
That's the word. One thing I didn't ask, anybody that comes to yourselves and English is not the first language or they struggle in English, do they get support? How does it work?
We do have a number of people in the organisation who do speak a variety of languages, especially as one of the things that we've mostly found is that when we support people and groups and communities and this sort of thing, often what ends up happening is once we've supported them to a point where they're stable and maybe they're in a position where they can't work or they can only work a certain amount of hours a week, they kind of go, what else am I going to do with my time? And then they come back to us. So we've got a number of people who can speak Ukrainian and a variety of other languages.
Russian. I mean, in the coronavirus, we translated our leaflets into 6 different languages, which volunteers use.
Amazing.
Our website is also translated. There's a button.
It actually has a tool on it for translating into languages at the top right there.
RBK.
So
and then
the website can go. I can see Portuguese here as well.
And we've worked with
amazing
Ukrainian refugees who, we have a Ukrainian volunteer who helps, and then also the council who we work with the Ukrainians. They provide translators and information to help. So very much so.
It looks like we need to do a little bit of work on how the widgets work.
Kingston and London is now an international community. So if you can speak and provide information in more languages, the better. And we're proud to say that we have a very, very diverse membership. And
absolutely,
we are a Save the World Club. The reason is that we are all part of the club in saving the world and looking after each other, and that we all have a role. So be part of that club, join our club, and let's all save the world together.
Amazing. And Mind Kingston as well. People with different languages approaching yourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, we have such a multicultural community within Mind in Kingston. So within Kingston, sorry. So I think what we would love to do even more of is we know that it can be a real barrier to getting support if you do need to have an interpreter. If you're trying to access something that's very personal, very private, like counselling, and you've got an interpreter needed, it's not possible. It is possible, but it's really challenging, and that's not. So we would love to do. Our Magpie project, we've developed a fantastic counselling team who are all Korean speakers, so someone can access that support in their first language, So we would love to do that in more languages to expand that.
I think for us, language is one thing, but actually what we're really more interested in is about culture, because you might speak Arabic, but you might have so many different types of nations and cultures and histories using that. So we think through food and music, and we're building a recording studio and rehearsal studio as well as having a kitchen. But building on the commonalities of food, of drink, of a good environment, a garden, and we will find our common ground, I think, and heal ourselves, and the community can heal themselves, through sport, through gardening, through interaction, through music, through food, and let's use those common denominators to work our way out of trouble. And let's not kid ourselves. This cost of living crisis is going to get worse in the next 6 months, the next year, in the next 3 years, and what we're just seeing is just the trickle effect of the first massive avalanche of a real crisis in this country. So I'm telling you, the cost of mortgages, of rent, of fuel, of food is going to go much, much higher, and we're going to have a massive problem unless we deal with it now.
Can I just add on to that? I think also that what that does do is mean that if you're experiencing these problems, you are less and less likely to be experiencing that on your own. There are so many people that are facing this. So what that does mean is that we need to just eradicate the shame around this. We need to just not let this divide us. Don't let it isolate you, because that shame will try and isolate you. And I think so many people as well, we talked about like misconceptions. There can be this misconception that if you're struggling with your mental health, that's a sign of weakness. No, the people who've gone through that are the strongest people in the world, in my view. It takes a lot of strength. So just know that you're strong. Reach out. That Minding Kingston, our values are respect, dignity, kindness. Everything we do, is done with a lot of love and kindness, I think. And I know that goes exactly the same for Save the World. So
absolutely.
It's real people supporting each other.
So there is a battle out there, and the battle we all going through, cost of living crisis. As Tarek put it here, it probably can get worse. So, and we were discussing about culture, as you're saying. So I think the British have that thing about stiff upper lip.
Stiff upper lip.
So this is not the moment.
Suffer it.
Could I say
this is the moment for us to not use that and understand that it is time to cut that stigma out, to cut the shame out, and be working together. Because it's not one person, as you mentioned. There's lots of us experiencing one way or another a little bit of the difficulties that the cost of living crisis are doing, and sharing, fighting the battle together.
That's right. I mean, could I say that during the coronavirus, we met a lot of older people, and there is the stigma about taking food, about taking it. Now, that's why the stigma is there, because there's pride and honour and a sound of respect and self-respect that stops, especially older people who lived through the war and will not take anything from anybody else. So guess what? When we went with our food, which we'd rescued from the supermarket, we said to on the doorsteps, the lady first said, "I'm not taking any charity. I'm not having anything from you. I don't want the food." And then our volunteer said, "Hang on a minute, darling, we've rescued this food from the supermarket. If you don't eat it, we're going to throw it away. Now, please, could you please help us?" And that turned the whole situation around saying to her, "Oh, if you're going to throw it away, no, I'll take it. Waste not, want not." And the same with clothes, with food, with fridges and whatever. If we can turn that stigma around, listen, if you don't take this thing, we're going to have to tip it. So, let's find a way to make people not feel shameful, not feel their pride.
And it's incredible what you brought.
And not only that, people won't take benefits. They won't go to the food bank because I don't need it because somebody else needs it more. And they're the ones who are starving. But their pride, their strength of determination stops them from doing that. And also
you brought war and how everybody. So if we look in a different perspective, if people understand that there is a war right now, and it's the cost of living crisis, and we can all work together to overcome it. One of them is to try and
if we're at war, we must have a coalition. If you're at war against anybody, you have Labour, Liberal, Conservative, all of them together deciding how to tackle this problem. And this is what we should have had during the coronavirus. And if we're at war against another country, whoever it is, or any space men or whatever, it has to be a coalition. We cannot answer poverty or debt or anything unless we work together. If we have different parties and organisations working against each other, fearing each other, competing for the money and not working together, we're never going to do this.
Amazing. We could go here for another hour and a half at least. I'm concerned with the time.
Sure.
I think taking your thing once again, a battle that we fighting together, and the battle is not. I think when we look into Mind Kingston, if we get through cost of living crisis and cost of living crisis doesn't exist, the issue on mental health will still probably continue for different reasons, as well as poverty always. But thinking that we need to get together to try and us looking for help, but maybe convincing anybody who we know that needs their help to try and not leave honor, leave any other feeling as a barrier to be able to get help. So thank you so much for being here, Rachel from Mind Kingston, Hugh and Tarek from Save the World Club.
Much. Lovely. Thanks, Hugh. Well done, Hugh. Oh, we'll do that. Get joint. Go on.
Thank you.
Well done, guys. Nice. Well done.
Thank you.
And I hope everybody enjoys that.
Well amazing. Again, thank you very much for watching, for being with us. We have more episodes coming on Voices for All with the refugee community as well. Once again, thank you to our organizations that are here. I want to say thank you as well to KVA and Sanya, who keeps connecting all of us, although not here on the table, connecting all of us again to be able to bring to you everything that is available there. Thank you to the team, Peter, Yemi, Kutai, Owen, all of the editors, Paul,
cheers.
Adrian, everybody from Quilombo UK as well. I'm Marcus, and it was great being with you. Thank you.